Welcome students. Today we are going to learn about the circle of Willis at the base of the brain. Here you can see this is circle of Willis at the base of the brain with pituitary stalk in the center. This is circle of Willis. So how this circle of Willis is being formed? It is being formed by the two vertebral arteries, then two internal carotid arteries, one on this side and the other one from the opposite side. So how the circle of Willis is being formed, it is important to know about these four arteries which are participating in the formation of the circle of Willis. So here we are tracing these two arteries from very beginning. It is here we have got arch of aorta. On right side we have got brachiocephalic trunk, which divides into two branches, common carotid artery and subclavian artery, So likewise on the left side we have got left common carotid artery and left subclavian artery. These two arteries are independently arising from the arch of aorta. Means there is no brachiocephalic trunk on left side. Brachiocephalic trunk is present only on right side. Now common carotid artery moves upward at the superior border of the thyroid cartilage. It divides into two branches. Number one is internal carotid artery and other is external carotid artery. This internal carotid artery doesn't give any branch within the neck region. It is solely for the for the cranial cavity, where it is going to be participating in the circle of Willis. Whereas external carotid artery, it has got certain branches which will be discussed later on. So here you see internal carotid artery. After passing through the carotid sheath, it passes through the base of the skull and enters into the cranial cavity, and then after passing through the cavernous sinus on either side of the sphenoid body of the sphenoid bone. So cavernous sinus, it finally terminates into two branches, that is middle cerebral artery and this smaller one, anterior cerebral artery. So terminal branches of the internal carotid artery are middle cerebral artery and anterior cerebral artery. Now about the vertebral arteries, look at this. This is the vertebral artery originating from the first part of the subclavian artery. As we mentioned earlier that this is the subclavian artery, so this would be the first part of the subclavian artery, and from here vertebral artery is arising and vertebral artery is moving upward. Here these structures, these concave structures, or these are transverse process of the cervical vertebra, and these transfer processes of the cervical vertebra, they have got a special opening in the transfer processes, and those openings are called foramen of transversarium. So this one is C6. So first artery enters through the foramen transversarium of C6 vertebra, whereas C7 doesn't have any transfer process, so this vertebral artery does not pass through the transfer process of the C7. Now C6, then C5, C4, C3, C2, and we have got, then finally we have got atlas vertebra. So vertebral artery, after passing through the transfer processes of all the these vertebrae, transfer processes, then it passes it moves backward through the superior surface of the atlas vertebra and enters through foramen magnum into the cranial cavity. So vertebral artery on one side and vertebral artery on the other side. These two vertebral arteries, they unite together in the midline, resulting in a formation of a basilar artery. From basilar artery, here pawn of the brainstem would be lying. So these small branches are called pontine arteries. And then here we have got labyrinthine artery, because labyrinthine artery, it is going to enter into the internal acoustic meatus and finally into the labyrinth of the ear or internal ear. Then this basilar artery itself, it's going to divide into two branches, and these two branches are called posterior cerebral arteries. So vertebral artery finally divide into two posterior cerebral arteries, whereas Internal carotid artery divides, finally terminates into two middle cerebral on either side, then anterior cerebral. So terminal branches are anterior cerebral and middle cerebral, whereas in case of vertebral arteries, the terminal branches are posterior cerebral. So here you can see two anterior cerebral arteries are communicating with each other. This particular small branch is called anterior communicating branch, or ACOM for short. Then we have got middle cerebral on either side, then the posterior cerebral. These two are joined to each other by means of a posterior cerebral artery, posterior communicating arteries. So ACOM, PCOM, या anterior communicating, posterior communicating, then anterior cerebral, then we have got middle cerebral, then we have got posterior cerebral. So posterior cerebral is originating from the vertebral arteries, and middle cerebral are the branches, and anterior cerebral are the branches of internal carotid artery. So this is the circle of Willis being formed at the base of the skull. So I hope you had an idea, okay, how circle of Willis is being formed. So see you in next video. Thank you very much.